Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name's Christiana Davidson. I'm a psychotherapist and a hypnotherapist, and I specialize in the impact of having a narcissistic parent, and how that impacts us later in adulthood, especially in relationships. Now, today we're going to be focusing in on the narcissistic mother, and I'm going to attempt to give you some of the main characteristics. She's a bit different, the narcissistic mother, to the borderline mother. And I think the chief difference from my perspective is that the borderline is seeking emotional regulation from her children and enmeshment, whereas the narcissistic mother is seeking attention. That's her primary need. So it's slightly different. Okay, I'd like to start today by reading a little quote here from Donald Winnicott. And this is what Donald Winnicott says about the narcissistic mother. The mother gazes at the baby in her arms, and the baby gazes back at the mother's face and finds himself therein, provided that the mother is really looking at the unique, small, helpless being and not projecting her own expectations, fears, and plans for the child. In other words, that she's not projecting an idealized image onto the child. In that case, the child would not find himself in his mother's face, but rather the mother's own projections. This child would remain without a mirror, and for the rest of his life would be seeking this mirror in vain. So there we have a very succinct and powerful description of the narcissistic mother, who can only see her own reflection. Everything is about her. So when she has a child, she cannot actually see the unique, incredible beauty of her child. She can only see it in terms of how this child reflects back to me the image of me that I want. So the narcissistic mother projects not only onto her child, but she also does so onto the public domain. She has a projected, idealized self that she wishes to be seen and known for. And her children absolutely are part of ensuring this. Her aims are to show this ideal self to everyone. And the way she judges what is ideal is usually on societal images of success as a woman. For example, owning a house, being married, having a car, nice clothes, being slim or attractive, keeping up with trends and fashion, and of course, having ideal children who can be part of this projection and thus mirror back to her this image of her, at least in public. At home, however, she is likely to be far from the woman that others meet and see. She's often not the nice and sociable and fun, easygoing person that others meet. No, you experience her as quite cold sometimes and cruel at others. She's prone to tantrums when she's not getting enough attention, or she's having to do something that she doesn't want to do, or she's not getting her own way. She can also be extremely unempathic and subtly quite demeaning at times. She's quite unpredictable too. And although you may get some love every now and then. It's all based around her needs and her moods. It's when she wants to, not yours. Your emotional needs must take second place to hers. So don't burden her with your emotional distress. Just go to your room, or here, eat this, or oh, stop being so sensitive, or if you don't stop, I'm going to give you something to make you stop, or why do you have to be such a difficult child? Children often find themselves walking on eggshells a lot of the time, and they may even feel a sense of relief when they're away from the home, when there's a narcissistic mother. They might find a bit of breathing space almost when they go to a friend's house. In fact, one client of mine, she used to tell me, oh, as a child, I loved being outdoors in the garden. And I said, oh, why was that? She said, I think I just always loved nature and, being outdoors. But as we explored it a bit further, she came to realize she liked being outdoors because her mother was indoors. So this gave her some sense of relief from being around her narcissistic mother, who, they make you can feel anxious generally when you're with them. So this client realized that it was her mother's unpredictability and the automatic attuning that this client had been trained to do with her mother. She'd been trained to listen out for any anger or frustration signs from her mother, and it kept her on high alert almost when she was in the house. You couldn't really relax because at a moment's notice you could hear a slam, or there might be a swear word, or there might be some huffing and puffing, or something like that. And that would traumatize my client both as a child and then later on in life too. So the thing is, narcissists are not able to handle their feelings or their emotions, and so they need to get rid of them by projecting them out. And they're not capable of empathy either. They cannot put themselves in another's shoes and see how their behavior is affecting them. That doesn't compute. It's how your behavior is affecting me. That's how they view it. There's no reversal there. So it's about how they're affected and not the other way around. The narcissistic mother is extremely critical and judgmental. However, she cannot take the slightest hint of criticism herself and will respond with venom. She'll fly into a rage if this happens, or if she interprets what you've said as a negative judgment in some way. She'll shoot you a guilt or shame-inducing comment back, or she'll just blank you, or say something like, oh, I see. Oh, I see how you really feel then. Okay. You should have said this before. It's always the mother, isn't it? Well, so sorry I've not been what you needed. Or maybe I wasn't as nice as your friend Sam's mother then. Perhaps you would have preferred her as your mother? Oh, shaking her head, rolling her eyes, and then getting up and either, slamming the door or leaving the restaurant in a huff. And all the while, you've been trying to placate her, to tell her that she's misinterpreted what you've said. It wasn't something personal. Or in your desperation, you just resort to trying to cover up what you've said or take it back somehow and turn it into a compliment. Even resort to lying. What can you do? She controls you, you see, with the threat of either withdrawal or rage. And she's offended when you don't give her what she wants when she wants it, claiming that she does so much for you and everyone else, and how ungrateful you are. Or she might say, how ungrateful people are these days. Insinuating that you're so selfish. And she may even say something along those lines, like, well, it's not all about you, and what you want. When really, all you've been doing is trying to meet what she's demanding. She might say something like, oh, I also have needs, I've spent so many years putting myself last, and now you're expecting me to keep doing it. She'll make you feel like you're a disappointment or a failure when you don't immediately comply to her wishes. She demands her wishes are your top priority. You need to give your full attention to her wishes. It's all about attention. She needs to know that you're putting your energy into meeting what she needs. That gives her a sense of being in control. And she will demand this, over and above your own needs. If you decide to put your own needs over hers, that is absolutely unacceptable for the narcissistic mother. And especially if you have your own career or family, those need to come second to her. I mean, after all, she is your mother. And she'll often say things like that, well, I am your mother. As if that's kind of a contract that you've signed of service. Anyway, she will know exactly what targets to go for when speaking with you. What I mean by this is she is calculating, the narcissistic mother, which is a bit different to the borderline. She's really manipulative in a way that the borderline is not so pre-planned. The narcissistic mother aims, sometimes subtly, sometimes obviously, for your shame points, as I call them. She goes for that point, those little points of shame within you, and she knows which ones those are. And she knows which ones those are because she's taken on the information that you shared with her at some point, perhaps about your struggles, or your weaknesses, or your vulnerabilities. Excuse me. And she does this to instantly affect your self-esteem and affirm the negative beliefs that you have about yourself. So she either uses information that you've given her previously, or she'll target those shame points that she herself planted in you when you were a child, the projections of her own shame. So she knows exactly how to kind of get in there and make you squirm. That's what she wants. Why does she want this? Well, because she must assert herself over you. And this is how she does it, by reducing your self-confidence, your self-esteem, so that she can feed off of your pained expression or momentary self-doubt. It makes her feel better somehow. Firstly, to see that she still has power over you, to wound you, but also that you are still loyal regardless, and that you do not react in anger. Although sometimes you may, and that still is a win for her because she's been able to get you to be angry. Now, important here, the narcissistic mother will use, sometimes in the same conversation, love bombing and then the target. So she'll kind of build you up and, praise you for a bit. And then you might find the conversation will go fine the whole way out. And then right at the end, she comes in with a zinger, so that you're left at the end of the conversation with this zinger that has literally kind of made your stomach cramp. And you're shocked. It's almost like you don't know how to handle it. That's the narcissistic mother, calculated, manipulative, and actually rather a bully in that sense. So she has to be the center of attention at all times because the world revolves around her, and rightly so. You may try to either support this by ensuring that she is the center at all times. So you hold yourself back. You might feel guilty if you take some attention away from her. You try to make yourself smaller and always draw attention back or conversation back to mum for her benefit. Or at some point, you may just kind of want to break out of doing that and enter into the competition with her, and you think, I'm gonna show her that I'm more attractive than her, and you might find yourself trying to show that off to her in public as a means of sort of revenge. And you can see here then how these narcissistic traits start to get handed down through the generations. The narcissistic mother needs to be waited on and adored at all times, and she expects you to provide that. That's what you're there for. You're there to provide what she needs when she needs it. That should be a satisfaction for you in life. That's what children are there, to honor their mother and father. And she can't understand that. How has she been given this child that won't comply to this? So growing up with a mother like this, you learn to equate love with being a support act in the background. You learn that to be loved is to make others' demands top priority and pleasing them, and to be frustrated at having needs of your own. They're annoying to have my own needs. I just want to get rid of them. Or even my emotions. These are just a pain. They get in the way of me being loved. I don't want to know them. So you depress and suppress. And you end up treating yourself like the narcissistic mother, making yourself a burden to yourself, your needs and emotions. You become a people pleaser, constantly seeking validation, on the lookout for other people's reactions. How are they responding to me? Or, was that a dirty look? Or was that, did I say something here that maybe wasn't quite right? Or did that come, you've got this whole sort of codependency thing going on. You may find in relationship that you're constantly seeking validation, that you doubt your own judgment, and you believe deep down that you really are a selfish person, really, and that you need to get rid of all the selfish desires or dreams you have of having attention yourself. You kind of believe that those things are bad, that your desire to be seen and, maybe to have success and whatever, makes you like mum. So you kind of try to reject those things. And of course, they don't make you like mum. Your dreams and your desires are important. They're who you are at the end of the day. However, as sometimes happens, you take on similar traits to your mother. Well, it's one or the other. You become what mum wanted you to be. You become a reflection of her idealized self, and you take it on as your identity, and you'll do anything to maintain this idealized vision of yourself too. You believe that it's dog eat dog. It's all one big competition with everyone else, and you're willing to go to any lengths to maintain that idealized version of you. You lack empathy too, because you've had none shown to you. And you demand attention because you're better than others, and you believe it, and you've been told that. But all the while, underneath it all, you're hiding a desperately low self-esteem and a deep disconnection from your authentic self. So narcissistic mothers have a an enormously negative, devastating impact on their children. But like we've said in previous videos and in this one, this is a multi-generational illness. I don't know if that's the right word. Multi-generational defense mechanism. I'm battling to find the word here, but it's let's say disease. It's a disease. However, that seems, well, anyway, it's, you know, this comes down through the generations is what I'm trying to say. And it's for each one of us to do the inner work needed to heal from it. And that's what I offer to clients in the work I do using hypnotherapy as well, because it's on the subconscious, and that's what generates massive movement and deep shifts in a shorter space of time. And especially when you're working with somebody who gets it, because that's what we really need to heal from this is validation, actually, but from someone who sees the abuse rather than someone who may be prone to validating the abuse. Okay, everyone, I hope this is not too long, this video. I've tried to cover most of the points. I'm sure there are many others, and if you think of some, please include them in the comments. I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye now.